Yeah, so everybody's got that, right? So basically, I've got two parts to this presentation. The first part is just to sort of give an overview of who I am and give some context to the whole thing of what I do, and the sort of main what I would regard as the value aspect that gives insight and maybe helps people a little bit is basically about using personal branding images to uh, promote yourself as a person of influence within your sector, and it's a really big deal for people, I think, at the moment. Well, I think indefinitely, really, to be honest. So, just a little bit about myself. Yeah, that cute little person that had hair. Born in a little town in Leeds called Garforth. Compulsively drawing all the time from being literally a toddler, 2 year old or whatever, and it's kind of to draw and to enter competitions and to do things. I mean, I won a prize when I was a little kid for the Star Wars drawings, and like I were always going in for every competition I could. It's kind of like doing the art and the drawing and the designing. It's not what I do. It's more who I am. Than anything else. It's something that I've got. I've always had a compulsion to do it, and I've never stopped since I was a kid. And what happened was, I got to a point in my life where I was thinking about careers. I was only, like doing options at school and doing things like that. And I had to find a way of just extending what I would do anyway into a career. And I started college at 16. It was quite an exclusive college to get into. It's quite hard to get into. You have to be really, they only took really uh, people who they knew could work in the industry. And I managed. I was lucky enough to get a place. So it's basically something I've done since sort of 85, 86. So it's something I've done all my life. I've worked with lots of different big brands in my salaried career, which is the first 20 of the 40 years that I've been working, and worked with everybody from, Argos right through to Yorkshire Bank on that list, just kind of lots and lots of people, lots of brands, worked at a lot of big agencies, salaried and also freelanced there, and worked, every day of my life since 86 doing this kind of thing. That, if anybody wants to know what that is, that's one of the very first ever digital cameras. It's we made by a company called Dynapon Screen. Now, people wonder about photography. People think that graphic design is all about just logos and graphics and different things like that. But photography has always been a really big part of my graphic design journey and what I've been doing. Now, this was very early 90s. It's that actual camera probably cost about the same as a semi-detached house at the time. A really, really expensive bit of kit, actually plugged into an old-fashioned camera as well. So it's like a conventional camera with a back end that went into a big box. So I was lucky enough to be, I think there's about half a dozen in the whole UK at the time. And so in terms of digital photography, I was there right at the very beginning of it at a studio working and using photography to work with the graphics and the branding and everything else. So, people think, what a lot I get asked a lot, are you a photographer? And it's like, no, I direct photography and I pull the whole thing together to create the brands. So I'll just go on to the next one. So, I've done a lot of retail photography for like products that like stuff like that. So you'd have to actually direct the photography and actually put it into the packaging. So I've worked with people like Fox's Biscuits and Co-op, whole ranges. So I'd be out directing photography like 3 or 4 days a week, and then actually putting it into the packaging. So you plan it beforehand, you decide what you need, you take the shots. The shots have to be perfect. They have to fit into the there's hundreds of different ranges and different things, and everything has to be meticulously planned. So it's how you bring it all together to make that particular graphic or that product work. And it might seem a little bit um, off on a tangent compared to what I do now, but it's that kind of process and it's about actually shooting for purpose. It's about not having the vision, knowing what you need, knowing what you want, and actually taking those images, creating those images, putting them in, and making the whole, it's like a holistic approach to the design. So everything from typography, color, photography, branding, message, the whole lot has to work, because this, for instance, stuff like this, if I got my job wrong, then on any of it, you could end up with like £1,000,000 worth of product that just didn't leave the shelf. It just wouldn't sell. So the kind of the pressure to get it right has been part of my life all the time in terms of my working life. And I've done work for lots and lots of brands, including, as like I said, done a lot of hand drawing stuff and creating ideas for advertising campaigns and events and different things for, you've got like Nestle, Asda, M&S, and all kinds of different companies like that. Also very big. This is actually from my own business. This is when I started with Catherine on our own business. Very, very big on community building, which obviously we're in a group now. This really exciting sort of fledgling stage of Lylop is incredibly exciting. But in terms of building communities, I helped build the By Yorkshire Conference, which was the biggest conference outside of London. I had a 5,000 footfall on each event. So that's a lot of people turning up to it. And we ran it for about 6 years, and me and Catherine were like the creative partners for it. And we basically helped build it up what it was. We also we've done a lot of work with different networking groups. We're involved with a company called an organization called EBA. We helped build that up. They did training courses, they did workshops, but they also did actual networking and events, live events, in-person events. So actually community building is really one of our big things that we actually enjoy. And we enjoy networking, we enjoy educating, we enjoy being part of that process and helping businesses develop. And we've always kind of been part of that and supporting business and helping them grow. Oh, and that's in terms of branding. Yeah, if we want credibility and credentials, yeah, I've helped work with Disney in terms of building their brand Bibles and creating content for their typography and all their brand books. So I've actually got those. I don't know how much they'd be worth if I auctioned them, but they're kind of part of my collection. I've also done, me and Catherine have also done our own stuff and worked with Disney and all different the different broadcasters and studios, Nickelodeon and different people like that. So we created our own IP and stuff and done all the illustrations ourselves. So just kind of in a summary, just about me, this is sort of first bit. So we've got 40 years of branding experience, work with lots of big brands. We help public figures like Richard McCann build his brand. Got a background in graphic design, branding, art direction, commercial photography, and we work with a lot of high-profile people. I've done over the years, particularly when we're doing By Yorkshire, because they got a lot of big names in, kind of celebrities and all sorts of people in. So we work with their slide decks and put their branded stuff together and help them get themselves across on stage in the presentations. So that's kind of like a really quick whistle-stop tour of what I do and where I'm from. So this is the bit that hopefully there might be some takeaways for people. And one of our key services and offers that we do for people, and has been for probably about 4 or 5 years, maybe more, is personal branding. And what is personal branding? Personal branding, is basically your reputation, how people perceive you. So there are a lot of different aspects to it. It's everything from how you behave and how you treat people. And it's, I mean, there's a saying that your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's about that reputation and about how that gets across. And if you don't actually help manage that process, then people say, I don't want a personal brand, I don't care about it, I'm not interested. But that personal brand is going to exist, but somebody else will invent it on your behalf, and they will sort of talk about you or do things, and they'll make their own minds up. So the smart move is to actually think, well, I'm going to actually kind of manage that, and it's not about being fake. It's about actually creating something that you can put out there that you believe represents you properly and does you justice. So it is about your reputation, and it's about your uniqueness and about your own USP as a person. And one of the most important things is you need to be able to have something that you're putting out there that builds trust and credibility and authority in what you do, so that people feel like they already know, I can trust you from the material that they've seen, because you can't meet everybody straight away. And if you've got something out there that represents you and represents you as a credible person, um, then that's a really, really important thing. And it really does go beyond just a logo, because I mean, everybody's got a logo, and a logo's nice, and it's important you get it right. But unless you're Coca-Cola or something like that, we tend to be people-based organizations, and a lot of face-to-face stuff or online like we are now. And it's about being able to tell your story, and about the story of your business, and about the story of how you help people. And one of my favorite books that I've read last year is something called Key Person of Influence, and it's by Daniel Priestley. And it kind of talks a lot about the kind of values and the kind of concepts that we're talking about here, about putting yourself as that person of authority and finding ways to do it authentically and elegantly. And that's kind of our big kind of thing that we do. So, personal branding, it's not just headshots. People go, oh well, I've got headshots, I'm on LinkedIn and this and that, and they'll just kind of, it's almost like they kind of slightly begrudge doing it. It's an obligation. I need a headshot, and they'll just get a photographer to do it. Where we can, well, you've got to really invest in it and get it done properly, and get something out there that shows your personality, that actually is not just yet another vanilla shot that everybody else has got. It's about actually creating something. I mean, this guy is on this picture here is he has a construction company, and he's differentiated himself from everybody else that's in his niche where he is, because he does a lot of high-end kind of conversions and loft conversions and stuff in London. And he's not just kind of the builder that turns up. He's the guy in the nice, smart branded stuff. We did in the branding, the logo, and he's the kind of the entrepreneur and businessman. And he's on the tools as well, but he's the kind of guy who goes and prices the job up and talks to these wealthy individuals, and he's kind of he wins a lot of business on the back of what we've done to help him. And that's the kind of thing that we do with the like the social media banners and different things, so we can have things really, really simple and clean and plain, like the kind of the stuff. These are all trades guys that are on the left hand side, or we can get really creative and we could do different backgrounds and different things. I mean, that one right in the middle, that was actually shot in a little against a white background in Yorkshire, and that lady came all the way over from Oregon, the USA, and she's just sat on a little stool, but we actually superimposed her into the wilds of Oregon, because that's kind of what she wanted. It's all very theatrical, but it helps tell the story that we're telling. So in terms of what personal branding is, this is my philosophy on it, and it's called what I call the first date principle. And there's two rules to that, and you obviously can read it and see it in advance. But basically, rule one is if you're going on a first date with somebody, you've got to be authentic. There's no point in trying to be something you're not. There's no point in faking it. There's no point in bullshitting your way through it. You've got to just be yourself. And if they can't accept that, then they're not. Then you've got to just be yourself. That's fine. But rule number two, which is not a contradiction, but is an enhancement of that, is you've got to be the best version of yourself. So if you go on a first date, you've got to look good, you've got to smell good, you've got to have made an effort, you've got to turn up wearing something nice, you've got to be polite, you've got to be courteous, you've got to be. So it's about that, balancing that sweet spot between being authentic and being the best version of yourself. So when we do a shoot and do things for people, we want people to be themselves, have the personality, but we're trying to sort of hone what they've got and make them look right, make them look good, make them look, the kind of person that people want to do business with, or to deal with, and make them trust, help them trust you and find out the real person. I mean, this is a really, really quick whistle stop thing through an example. Richard McCann is one of our clients. He's an international speaker. He started off as a school speaker, was going down high schools all around the country, eking a living and struggling, and he wanted to build his brand. And now we kind of worked with him. We built his brand. We did all his photography. We did all his montaging. We told his story, because Richard was the son of the first victim of Peter Sutcliffe, aka the Yorkshire Ripper. So we helped tell his story. He's an inspirational speaker. He's got his gold Olympic torch, picture of his mum, and different things like that, where we can create things that help him get his message across, get his story across, and things like this. Then this is just basically, he wanted some icons, some literally icons for retail sector, public sector, this different sector, and we just says, well, look, we'll create something a bit special. So we actually put him in the picture. We actually created these images that went and helped communicate his story. Well, I work with the retail sector. I work with it because it works with all these different sectors. So it's actually working with him to build his brand up and relate to the people that he's working with, because he works with a lot of big brands like Spa, and his message is I can. So we built this message up for him, and everything that he goes has this I can message on. So he works with, whether it's Garmin or Kellogg's or all these other brands. We help celebrate what he does when he does his keynote speeches and things, and he does courses and coursework. So we help him with that. So that's kind of Richard, and we do events with him, and we do all this stuff. Press pack images. Everybody needs press packs. Everybody needs to have something that's on tap that they can use, that they can give out. If there's a press release, or if you're going to speak at an event, or you're going to do something, you've got some really, really good images. There's some information there that I can share later on anyway. But basically, get a really good spread, keep it versatile, and get lots of good shots done. And the thing is, how we do it is going back to, like I said, with the photography for like the product shots with the food and things. We actually tailor the shots to work with what we need to work with. So it's trying to get the images and the graphics together, and actually making something work in harmony. So that's kind of a big thing of how we approach it, rather than so-called other photographers who do this kind of thing. We've got a very much a holistic approach to it, and we make sure that all our sessions are fun and relaxed. We keep everybody happy. We just have a laugh, because what we want to do is capture people's personality, capture that spark, make people comfortable. And it's not about setting up these contrived shots where everybody's still and pretending to answer the phone. We just really have a real laugh, and that's what gets people coming from all over the world. Like I say, we've had people from, even in this last few months, we've had people either booked in or already been from all over the globe, and certainly all over the UK, to come and work with us. We work with them, and we do all these kind of cool things with them, and they have a great time and have a great experience. And the best thing of all is to go with really great images. We also work with remote clients. So this is Simon and Miles will know, this is Misty Dawn. So she supplied her own images. We created all her branding for her, did all the montaging. We created a book and all the marketing stuff. And this is the creative for the funnel that Miles did. So anyway, my top tips for personal branding, it's a bit of a summary, really. So be authentic, be yourself, always be authentic. You got to think long term, that your personal branding builds over time. You can't, Rome wasn't built in a day. Start small if you need to. Your images need to work across lots of different platforms. Keep it consistent. Always invest in the highest quality that you can get in terms of the photography and design. Make sure you've got lots of variety. Don't be afraid to show a bit of vulnerability, that you are a human. People do relate to that, without trying to create some sob story or anything. But you've got to think, you're a person, and show that side of you. Keep it evolving as you grow. If you change, or you change your market or your sector, or you might be quite formal, and you might go into a sector that's a little less formal. So you've got to have material that reflects that. Always work with people who actually understand both branding and photography. If you kind of just go with one or the other, you're kind of going to be missing the trick. You've got to get that blend. That blend is what makes you stand out and be different from the other guys that are doing it out there, and have fun with the process and just let your personality shine. You've got to, if people are buying you, they're buying, and also of course your team. If there's more than yourself in that organization, doesn't matter whether you're a one person outfit, or whether you've got a team of a dozen, or whether you've got a big factory full of people, or you know, huge team of lot legal team, or accountants, or whatever. It's getting those people in front of the camera, getting them being themselves, showing that the people, showing that their point of difference is them, and that's what we capture, and that's what you need to be capturing when you do your personal branding with whoever you work with. Is get that essence of who you are, so that people feel like they already know you when they want to, when they deal with you, and they've got that spark of connection already. So that's us, me and Catherine. Catherine's not on the call on the call today, but anybody ever wants to speak to us for a Zoom call, for a one-to-one, to find out anything else, I'll be more than happy to do it. We do a lot of calls, and I hope that that's been okay for everybody.